I'm 28, my fiancée Brenda is 26, and we've been together for a little over 3 years. 2 months ago, I asked her to marry me, and I honestly thought I nailed it with the ring. It cost me $3,000, which, in my world, is a big chunk of change. I'm not broke, but I'm not flush with cash either. I work for a mid-size firm, make a reasonable salary, still have student loans, and have been putting money aside for a house. In my mind, building a stable future together made more sense than spending every last penny on a diamond. The ring itself isn't some bargain bin special. It's a 1-carat diamond, VS2 clarity, G color, set in white gold. I did my homework, visited multiple jewelers, compared stones, and even brought my sister along for a second opinion. Everyone who saw it told me it was gorgeous and that Brenda would be thrilled. The jeweler assured me I was buying a high-quality stone in a timeless setting that would always be in style. When I proposed, Brenda cried, said yes, and we had that picture-perfect moment, calls to our families, posts on social media, the whole deal. But within a week, I noticed something odd. She wasn't wearing the ring much. When I asked, she said she didn't want to risk damaging it at work. Fair enough, I thought. Then her mom, Nora, came to visit last weekend. Nora's particular. She's the kind of person who sizes people up based on their car, their house, even their clothes. Usually, I just let her comments slide. But this time, when Brenda showed her the ring, I saw Nora's face drop before she forced a polite smile. She started grilling me about the specs, what kind of stone, where I bought it, how much I paid. I hesitated on the price, but Brenda was looking right at me, so I told them. The silence that followed felt heavy. All Nora said was, "Oh, I see," before switching topics. Later that night, I overheard them in the kitchen. Nora was telling Brenda, "Sweetheart, I love you, but this ring isn't what I imagined for you. Are you sure he's ready to provide for you?" Brenda defended me, at least at first, but then Nora brought up her cousin Helen's ring, a massive rock from Resurgent Fiancée. For context, Helen's ring is probably worth more than my car. The next day, Brenda sat me down, with her mom right there, and suggested, very gently, that maybe we upgrade the ring. She said she loved the thought behind it but wanted something with more presence. When I asked what that meant, she explained that her mom had made good points about how she'd be wearing this for the rest of her life and how it should be a symbol of our relationship. I told her I thought it already was. I'd put time, research, and as much money as I could responsibly spend into it. She said she understood, but maybe we could look at other options, maybe finance a bigger one. That's when I slipped. I told her that if the ring wasn't good enough, maybe she should give it back and we could rethink the engagement. I wasn't trying to issue an ultimatum, I was frustrated and felt like all my effort meant nothing. Brenda got upset, said she never meant to reject my effort, and asked how I could even think about ending things over a ring. I told her I wasn't ending anything, but I wasn't going into debt or draining my savings for a bigger diamond. In my eyes, the ring I bought is beautiful and more than enough. That's when Nora jumped in, calling me stubborn and selfish, saying that a man who truly loves a woman gives her the best he can. I told her I had given Brenda the best I could afford without sabotaging our future. Nora shot back that maybe we weren't ready for marriage if I couldn't maturely discuss spending more, as if refusing to blow $10,000 on a ring made me the unreasonable one. Now Brenda's barely speaking to me, Nora's completely iced me out, and I'm standing firm on not returning the ring. I think it's beautiful. I think they're being materialistic. Brenda says I'm being inflexible and not considering her feelings. I'm wondering if I should just cave and buy a pricier ring to keep the peace. Update: Nora called me yesterday, and for 20 straight minutes, she told me exactly why I was wrong. In her mind, it's not about the money, it's about what the ring says. She claimed that by buying something modest, I was sending the message that I didn't truly value Brenda. I told her I do value Brenda enough to buy something beautiful without wrecking our finances. She cut me off, saying real men sacrifice for the women they love, and if I truly cared, I'd figure out a way to get her a proper ring. Her suggestions? Take out a loan, ask my parents for money, or pick up a side job. I said I wasn't going into debt for a piece of jewelry. She said that was exactly the problem, I was prioritizing money over Brenda's happiness. Then she hit me with the real blow. Brenda has supposedly been crying herself to sleep, embarrassed to show her friends the ring, and avoiding social events so they wouldn't see it. Nora accused me of being cruel and selfish for not fixing the situation. That part stung, because if it's true, I don't want Brenda to feel that way. But Nora didn't stop there. She said maybe Brenda settled for me and might deserve someone willing to move heaven and earth to make her happy. I told her she was way out of line and that this was between me and Brenda. She claimed that as Brenda's mother, she had every right to fight for her daughter's happiness, and if I couldn't step up, I should reconsider whether I was ready for marriage. After that call, I was rattled. I phoned Brenda and asked if any of it was true. She admitted she has been feeling self-conscious about the ring. She said she appreciates the thought, but around her friends and coworkers, she feels like she has to explain or make excuses for it. One coworker called it cute and vintage, which she took as a polite way of saying small and outdated. When Brenda told me about that cute and vintage comment from her coworker, she admitted she heard it as a polite way of saying the ring looked cheap. That stung, but what hit me harder was realizing she never just came to me directly about it. I asked why she didn't talk to me instead of having her mom call and tear into me. She said she had tried, but I got defensive, and she didn't want to push it further because she didn't want to hurt my feelings. She told me she loves me, she's grateful for the thought behind the ring, but she wishes we could meet in the middle somehow. I asked her what middle looked like to her, and she said maybe we could trade in the ring I bought and use it toward a larger one, then finance the rest. She even pulled up pictures of rings she liked. Every single one was in the $8,000 to $12,000 range. I told her flat out I wasn't comfortable financing something that expensive when we're supposed to be saving for a wedding and a house. She waved it off like those things could wait, but a ring, she said, was something she'd have forever. And now we're stuck. She's not wearing my ring at all, and seeing her walk around without it feels like a gut punch every time. I keep wondering if I'm holding firm on my principles, or just being stubborn. Part of me worries this is a preview of marriage. If a $3,000 ring isn't good enough now, what happens when it's a car, a house, or something else she decides isn't enough? But then another part of me wonders if maybe I am being inflexible, and that refusing might just make things worse. Update 2, I thought we'd made progress. We had a calm talk, agreed to set the ring issue aside for a week, and just try to get back to normal. She even promised she'd start wearing it again. I let myself believe we were okay. Then my friend Alvin, he works in the same office building as Brenda, texted me. Different companies, but they bump into each other in the lobby sometimes. He asked if Brenda had gotten a different engagement ring because the one she had on didn't match her Instagram pictures. My stomach dropped. I asked him to describe it. He said it looked bigger, flashier, and way more sparkly than mine. When Brenda came home, I played it cool at first, asked about her day, mentioned that Alvin had seen her. She looked a little caught off guard but didn't offer anything. So I asked if she'd worn her ring to work. She snapped back, "Of course I did." I told her to show me. She paused, then went to her purse and pulled out my ring, not off her finger, but from inside her bag. That's when she admitted she'd been borrowing her friend Monica's old engagement ring to wear at work. Monica upgraded years ago and kept the original as a spare. Brenda's been wearing it during the day and switching back to mine when she gets home. Her reason? She was tired of feeling embarrassed every time someone commented on her ring. She said Monica's ring made her feel more confident. I told her it hurt not just that she was hiding it, but that it felt like she was lying to me and to everyone else. She swore it wasn't lying, just managing the situation until we figured something out. I asked what she tells people when they notice it. She said she doesn't correct them if they assume it's hers. I pointed out that's still lying, and she got defensive, saying I was making this about me instead of focusing on a solution. Then she hit me with something I wasn't ready for. She said Monica's ring looks more like what people expect an engagement ring to look like. She claimed a bigger ring makes the relationship seem more serious, and people take it more seriously. She even admitted that with my ring, people sometimes joke that we're just trying things out or taking it slow. That was like a punch to the chest. She wasn't just embarrassed by the ring, she was embarrassed about what she thought it said about me, about our relationship, about my ability to provide. We ended up in a full-blown fight over honesty and what marriage is supposed to be built on. I told her that if she couldn't be proud to wear the ring I gave her, the diamond size wasn't the real problem. She said I was being dramatic, that this was just about social expectations and wanting to feel confident. But the ring is still sitting in its box on her dresser, and every morning I see it there when I get dressed. It's a constant reminder that she doesn't want to wear it. She says she loves me and wants to marry me, but I can't shake the feeling that she's ashamed of the ring, of me, or maybe both. And now I'm wondering if this is about the jewelry at all, or about deeper cracks in how she sees us long-term. Update 3, it got worse. Alvin asked to grab a beer because there was something I needed to know. Turns out Brenda's been telling people at her office about our situation, but her version makes me sound like some controlling, manipulative jerk. According to Alvin, she's telling coworkers I'm hiding money from her, that she found out I have more saved than I admitted and that I refuse to spend it on her ring because I don't want her to have nice things. Alvin said one of her coworkers was so concerned she asked if she should recommend Brenda resources for women in controlling relationships. I was floored. I asked Alvin exactly what his friend had heard, and it was even worse. Apparently, Brenda told people I have a secret savings account I refuse to touch, and when she asked for a nicer ring, I got angry, threatening, and told her she should be grateful for what she gets. None of that is true. Yes, I have savings, but it's not a secret. It's for our future house, and Brenda knows all about it. We've discussed it multiple times. I never threatened her or told her to be grateful. All I said was I'm not going into debt for jewelry. She's also apparently told people I control all our finances and that she can't make purchases without my permission. Again, completely false. We split most expenses, she has her own bank accounts and credit cards, and I have zero say in how she spends her money. When Alvin told me this, I wasn't just hurt, I was furious. I couldn't believe the person I'm planning to marry would paint me that way to other people. When Alvin told me what Brenda had been saying at work, I had to swallow the anger rising in my throat. I told him to thank his friend for caring but to let her know the version of events she'd heard wasn't reality. That night, I waited until Brenda got home before bringing it up. I didn't storm in, I wanted to keep my voice even. I just asked if she'd been talking to her co-workers about the whole engagement ring situation. Her body language changed instantly, she stiffened, crossed her arms, and told me sometimes she just needed to vent about the stress in her life. I told her I understood needing to talk to friends, but the story she'd been telling wasn't accurate. She wanted to know what I meant. I repeated exactly what Alvin told me. Her face flushed bright red, and the tears started rolling. She swore she never meant to make it sound like I was abusive, she was just frustrated, and maybe she'd exaggerated a few things. I asked her what that even meant. She explained that when her coworkers asked why I wouldn't buy a bigger ring, she felt she had to justify it somehow, so she told them I had savings I wouldn't touch and that I got upset when she brought up upgrading. I reminded her that this didn't explain why people were now convinced I was controlling, or worse, threatening. She claimed those parts must have gotten twisted as the story got passed around, insisting she never actually said those things. Right in the middle of our talk, one of her co-workers called. She stepped outside to take it, but I could still hear fragments. The co-worker was asking if she was safe and if she needed help. Brenda reassured her everything was fine and that people had misunderstood. When she came back in, I told her this had gone way beyond acceptable. I said that letting her co-workers believe I was financially abusive could damage my reputation in a serious way, and beyond that, it was simply unfair. She apologized and said she'd straighten things out. Then she added something that hit me like a slap. From the outside, it looked odd that I wouldn't spend more on her ring when I had the money. That was it for me. I told her I don't have the money, I have a house down payment fund. Spending it on jewelry would be reckless. She admitted she understood that, but pointed out other people didn't know our situation and would make assumptions. I told her if she told the truth, they wouldn't make those assumptions. She said she didn't want to discuss our personal finances with co-workers. And that's when the realization hit, she cared more about how things looked to outsiders than about the damage her words could do to me. She'd rather let people think I was controlling or abusive than admit she just wanted a more expensive ring. That's not the Brenda I thought I knew. Final update. It's over. I kept hoping we'd work through it, but the weekend killed that hope completely. After the whole financial abuse rumor, things stayed tense. Brenda claimed she'd cleared it up at work, but she made it clear she resented having to do it. Little digs about how I was making her look like a liar when she'd only been trying to cope with a tough situation. Friday night, her mom Nora came to town. I thought maybe, just maybe, we could have a calm conversation and move forward. Instead, I walked right into an ambush. Nora, Brenda, and Brenda's sister Gina, who'd driven in from Portland, were all there, ready for what they called an important discussion. It wasn't a discussion. It was an intervention. They sat me down in the living room, and Nora started reading from her research on engagement rings. She said the traditional standard is 2 to 3 months' salary, which meant in my case I should have spent between $8,000 and $12,000. When I pointed out that the 2 months rule was a marketing scam dreamed up by De Beers decades ago, she brushed it off, said it didn't matter, because it's what people expect. Spending less, she claimed, was broadcasting to the world that Brenda wasn't worth a proper investment. Then Gina jumped in, saying she was concerned about Brenda's future with someone already showing controlling tendencies about money. According to her, healthy relationships are about putting your partner's happiness first, not about arbitrary financial rules. Every time I tried to speak, one of them cut me off. Nora kept hammering the idea that Brenda had been patient with me, but my refusal to compromise was forcing her to re-evaluate the relationship. Then Brenda took her turn. She said she'd been doing a lot of thinking, and this wasn't about the ring anymore, it was about whether I'd step up when it mattered. She'd found the ring she truly wanted, a 2-carat oval diamond in a halo setting, priced at $15,000. She'd already spoken to the jeweler about financing 2 years of manageable monthly payments. Then she gave me the choice, buy it, or we don't get married. She said a man who really wanted to marry her would find a way, and my unwillingness proved I wasn't committed. Nora called it Brenda finally standing up for herself. I sat there for a long moment before asking if she was serious, if she'd really throw away a 3-year relationship over this. She said it wasn't about the ring, it was about what it represented. And that was the moment I knew there was no compromise left. They'd already decided the only acceptable outcome was me giving in completely. I stood up, went to the bedroom, grabbed the ring box from her dresser, and came back. I told her if a $15,000 ring meant more to her than our relationship, then she was right, we weren't compatible. I said I wouldn't be pressured into debt to prove my love, and I wouldn't stay in a relationship where my financial boundaries didn't matter. She started crying, asking if I was really ending things over a ring. I told her no, she was ending things over a ring. I was just accepting her decision. Nora started yelling, Gina threw in a few insults, and Brenda just sat there in tears. I packed a bag and went to my buddy Mike's place. Over the weekend, Brenda sent a flood of texts saying she didn't mean for it to go that far and asking if we could talk. Yesterday, I went back while she was at work to grab more of my stuff, left the key on the counter, and texted her that I'd be back for the rest later this week. Now my phone is full of messages from her family and friends, most calling me selfish, a few saying they get it but that I should have tried harder to compromise. But here's the truth, this was never about the ring. It was about values. To her and her family, expensive gestures are proof of love. To me, love is about being responsible and making smart decisions together. If she'd come to me and said, I know this might sound shallow, but a bigger ring would make me happy, here's how we can do it without wrecking our other goals, I would have listened. But I didn't get that. I got lies, ultimatums, and the suggestion that I was a bad partner for refusing to wreck my finances for a piece of jewelry. It's painful that it ended like this, but better now than after marriage, when our accounts would be tied together. The ring's back in my possession, and I'll be returning it and putting that money back into my house fund. Maybe someday I'll meet someone who values the thought behind a gift more than the price tag.